What's up, guys? Just getting started here. And there she is. How do I add her in? Here we go. Go live with Bree. What's up, Bree? How are you feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good.
How's your day been today?
Not too busy actually. I got done for like 10 a.m., so been pretty relaxed, honestly.
But what time did you start the day? Like 4 a.m.?
Yeah.
So I thought we'd just do an Instagram live for our little check-in. Just make it a little bit different for once. I never normally do the lives. You do a couple of lives, don't you?
No,
No?
this is my,
Well, there's your first one.
yeah.
So why don't you give me and anyone who's watching a little bit of a rundown of what's been going on for the last week for you?
As far as diet or like,
Absolutely.
um, so I mean, it's been the same thing every day, pretty
And
much.
what is that? Why don't you tell everybody what you eat?
What do I eat? Okay, I start in the morning with a more protein and fat meal. So I have it's about 7 ounces of egg whites and like one or two eggs and some avocado. Um, and then I've been kind of putting my carbs around my training session. So um, for my second meal, I'll use one of my meal preps from my meal prep sponsor, Long Life. Um, and that'll be like chicken or ground turkey and whatever vegetable I tell them to put in there. Um, and then I'll have my pre-workout meal, which it's been mainly like the same meat and vegetable that I normally have for the other meals. But my carbs have been like oats and fruit and stuff before training, and then carbs afterwards will be, I don't know, it's different every day. Sometimes it's cream of rice with fruit, and then other days it's like today I had Ezekiel bread and made it into like a French toast and like heated up like like a little bit of not strawberries, blueberries. Kind of made it kind of juicy and then put it on top, and that was pretty good for post. And yeah,
And is that your last meal of the day then?
and my last meal of the day, it's probably gonna be like today was 96% ground beef, so
How hungry have you been on the diet?
pretty hungry.
Yeah, pretty hungry, huh? Your metabolism is, what's been happening? Have you been losing a little bit of weight or what's been happening there?
It's been kind of staying the same.
That's good. How's the training been going? I've seen some heavy lifts out of you recently.
Yeah, so training's going really good. I'm lifting heavy every day. I went a little bit lighter for legs today, but I did more volume today.
When did you do those 4-plate hammer strength leg presses?
That was last Friday.
Nice. I was going to say, that's heavy.
Yeah, it's about what we do when I come up there.
Yeah. Who have you been training with mainly these days?
Um, Fellow teammate Hunter.
Yeah.
Um, and then every once in a while, I train with my friend Nick or my brother.
And who is the best training partner out of all of those? And there's only one answer that you can give.
Out of out of my brother.
Yeah, you have to give your brother the props. How's he doing? Does he want to one day do a contest himself or no?
I'm trying to talk him into it, but I don't think he can get the diet down, honestly.
Just can't eat the food?
No, he just can't eat as much.
Yeah, he's very tall. How tall is he?
6'1", 6'2", maybe.
Nice. So how have you changed mentally since winning your pro card? I mean, you first had that big high, obviously, when you first get the card,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to start making plans for the future. how has your mindset state been generally these days?
Just looking forward to pro debut. Like, I think about it every day, honestly. I don't know. I mean, I did have like the high after winning and everything, and then body fat just came on, and yeah, your brain will mess with you on that. But
Yeah,
it's a lot better. Like this week, I've felt like the best I have the whole time.
good,
So
good,
that's
good.
at least.
Yeah, and your strength has been improving, right?
Yeah.
And what supplementations have you been taking?
I've been taking some EAAs during training.
Yeah.
Um, and that's it. Sometimes I'll do a scoop of protein every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's my point. You haven't needed any pharmaceuticals or any like strong stimulants. You've just been able to keep making the progress without either. So
Yeah,
that says a lot.
a mentality, you know.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. What's your biggest concern about your first pro show?
Being too small.
Being too small? For
Mostly,
figure?
huh?
For figure?
Yeah. Well, maybe not too small for figure, because by then, of when we're thinking, I think I'll be all right. But it's just
I agree.
hard to. But
Yeah.
maybe the muscle maturity part, possibly. But
I think you have a lot of that. I can see Chris Boyer says he can attest to the mental stress of weight gain after a show. Not fun. Yeah. So for the first show I ever did in 2009, I gained 40 pounds in 3 days. And I was having nosebleeds. I felt absolutely horrendous. So a one and done deal with post-show rebounds, that's for sure.
yeah,
How about what was your worst rebound?
my worst. It was. I think I gained 30 pounds in a couple of days, and that was my after my first show. And yeah, that was awful. I missed a whole week of school because like I literally could not move because my stomach was so bloated and it was hard as a rock. It looked like I was pregnant. And I just remember like laying on the couch and not being able to like move or anything. And if I did move, my stomach would hurt. And I'm stubborn, so I don't go to the doctor. And
Yeah.
so grandma literally came across town to come and get me. She's like, I'm taking you. I'm taking you.
Hey, Alex, how's it going? It's going good. I hope everything's going well with you. He's asking in German if everything's going well. Nice to hear from you. Any of you guys have any questions for Bree or myself even? We just thought we'd do a little live today because I never do the lives. I nearly only ever do the stories. So I thought we'd branch off for once in a while and bring somebody interesting on to a little conversation. And if nobody's interested, oh, bonjour, look who it is, Universal Islander. I thought it was Universal Soldier. Have I been reading that the whole time? Have I been coaching you as Universal Soldier the entire time, but you're actually Universal Islander? Damn. And of course, Alex, I appreciate you. My German is very rusty, so I won't embarrass myself. But of course, can't wait to come back. Absolutely, Victoria. That's can't wait to come back and train with you. Yes, yes, indeed. Daisy Adams. Yeah. I see a load of my clients in here. Universal Soldier. Yeah, that's what I always thought, because he's a soldier. And I read his name as Universal Soldier. I guess Universal Islander just sounded too gay to me. So I didn't think, yeah, you should just call me Universal. Oh, dude, you've just lost like 5 points of coolness right there. You want Bree's legs. What's the secret to your legs, Bree, beside genetics? And trust me, guys, genetics plays a huge role in how a leg looks.
Genetics, playing soccer since I was 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then training hard as hell.
Yeah. Too bad. Just spit out my water. Are you competing at the Ruby? So I'll tell you what, Eddie Rowan, if Lenny does the Ruby, I said I will certainly do it with him. And Dale said he would do the same. Cornelius, when are you and me and Dale lifting? Well, we can do it pretty soon, buddy. My strength is about back to where it should be, so you won't embarrass me too badly. How dehydrated do you have to be to compete on stage? You don't. I think a lot of people over dehydrate for stage, especially for some of the divisions. If you're very lean, like the days before the show, you know, when you first wake up in the morning, if you're tight, you probably shouldn't be trying to dehydrate further, because when you dehydrate yourself, you're not only taking out sub-Q water, you're also taking out intramuscular water. So essentially, you're making yourself smaller. So it's a balancing act. I'm not going to say we don't dehydrate a little bit before going on stage, but definitely don't want to take it to an extreme. What did you do, Bree, for when you won your pro card?
We stopped water at like noon before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think we had like maybe 4 ounces at a time, maybe not even that.
Yeah.
But with food and whatnot.
But we still kept drinking a little bit of water. It wasn't that you had to suck on ice cubes like some coaches have their clients do.
That sounds no.
Hey, Laura, how are you? There we go. I put Laura's picture up earlier because Laura was told that she shouldn't hire Cornelius or thecdecon, as you guys know me, because I make girls too muscular. I was like, yeah. That was it.
I'd love to train with you sometime, Bree. You kick my ass, though. I do like to do some ass kicking.
You two should come together and we'll do a workout together. It'd be fun. Yeah, Universal Islander, or now that I know that's his name, he did really well. He got through the workouts, but he thought that was one and done workout. He then found out that Bree actually comes up and trains every few weeks, and he was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle that again. But my coach, Jay, told me to drink water-only beer. That sounds like a great idea. What kind of beer do you like to drink? I'm waiting for it.
And beer.
He's talking about his epic coach, Jay Masters, who had one of the Delray Misfit guys. He did a boxing match against a guy half his size, and he blew his own pec out trying to throw a punch. I think that was last week.
Awesome.
Are you based in? I'm based just above Charlotte in Mooresville, and Bree is down in Columbia, South Carolina.
I was talking to Laura earlier today, actually.
Oh yeah, can get.
We were jealous of each other. How we
yeah, I say you have the condition and she has tons of size. So once you both kind of get that part nailed out, so Steel Reserve, yeah, that's a great beer right there. There's a question for you, Bree. How do you deal with stress?
I walk it out sometimes. If like my mindset is in, like, if I didn't have a goal in bodybuilding, the old me would be like just eating. So like now I drink water, I walk, or I go train and train some more. And yeah, and I go to bed early sometimes too, so that kind of helps. I sleep it off.
Do you take any supplements like ashwagandha, maybe CBD, THC, anything like that to help with stress?
I do take the ashwagandha. I did use a THC pin, but I switched to the Delta 8.
Delta 8 is actually very good, and it's actually legal in the Carolinas. So look, even me, somebody who doesn't really like THC very much, I will say that Delta 8 THC, it's very different. It doesn't kind of space me out in the same kind of negative way that regular THC would. So I'm a fan of it. It's a good product.
So, well, for me at least, it hit me pretty hard. I was spaced all the way out.
Were you? How much did you take though? I take like one weight lift.
Well, one of them I tried the gummies.
Oh yes.
I took too many of those and I knocked out, and it was in the middle of the day.
I have one client, and I told him, yeah, you get the gummies, and he ate 3 of them. No, he ate 1, didn't feel anything, so he ate 2 more, and then he went to jiu-jitsu with, I see him right in there, he's laughing right there, he knows who he is. He told me he drove back like he was on a computer game.
Yeah,
So now he sticks to 1 or 2.
that's what happened to me. I took like 1 or 2 right after I bought it, and I gave it an hour, and I still didn't feel anything. So I had like 2 more, and then had another one. And I was like, "When is this gonna hit?" And then boom.
And then it's a bit too late. Yeah. Batman Junior 78. I'm always taking on the right new clients. I'm pretty specific with whom I like to work with, but I always tell people, if you're looking for a coach, you can send me a message, and I will, of course, recommend you other coaches. Bree is one of the coaches I recommend. And I always say, if you're not happy with my recommendations, I'll refund you myself. I don't care. I mean, my reputation's too important to me. So if you weren't happy with their coaching, I'll make it right. And Mel, one of my favorite, one of the few bikini girls I work with that I like. Delta 8 has helped a lot. Yeah, I think Delta 8 is good, especially used in moderation.
It helps me sleep too.
The
Like when I
gummies, especially, yeah.
yeah, when I started taking it before bed, like my sleep improved a lot. So
Is that the only sleep aid you use?
that melatonin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So are you now all done with your studies? I know you graduated not too long ago.
I'm done with that chapter. I'm looking into a master's program for human performance and nutrition. So
Oh, that's going to be great.
yeah.
Laura, Delta 8 is basically, so you have THC, which is Delta 9. And then you have what is called Delta 8, which is legal in the Carolinas. And actually, one of my clients has a company for it, and it's called Solo's Hemp Products. Solo's Hemp Products. And it is THC. It's a little different to regular THC, the 9 variation, but it's completely legal. And in fact, you can probably buy it in most like head stores, head shops that sell vapes and stuff. I've noticed a lot of it being for sale.
I'm a baby face.
Thanks, man. Cornelius is the best. Hey, I appreciate you always, buddy. You know who you are. Yeah. Let's see. So what are your plans for the next upcoming week? I know we're going to be training the week following this week, so that'll be good.
Yeah. I really don't have any plans besides training my clients in the morning and training myself and resting and working on my website. That's almost done. And then working the front desk at my home gym. So not much.
And 7 states haven't approved it yet. Yeah, it's the same with kratom. There's a couple of states in America where they can't sell kratom, but in most states they do. So yeah, I'm sure it's only a matter of time. What's your opinion on Dmaa and Dmha? So Dma is definitely stronger than the analog Dmha, but I honestly don't like them because, yeah, they come on fast, they give you a lot of energy, and then after about 2 or 3 hours, you crash. So, and it actually increases blood pressure more than, let's say, ephedrine. So I tell people in general, if you want a stimulant, get some Bronchase from CVS and a caffeine pill. It does the job. You don't need all those fancy powdered pre-workouts that have who knows how much of each ingredient in it. What do you think about Dma? Have you ever used that, Bree?
I can't say I have. I don't know. Have I?
I don't know. A lot of the stronger pre-workouts often have it, or at least used to have it. It's banned now, but they still put it in stuff.
Like a couple years ago, it's from the Dragon Pharma brand.
Yeah.
I think
There's a question for you there, Bree, by It's Brian. How you deal with stress during prep, dealing with the low carbs?
Yeah, I do sometimes. Well, I mean, I obviously say yes, fuck it, and deal with it. But other times, like with stress, I create like a nightly routine. So, like Now, I still even do it. I like light a candle and I like wind down. Sometimes I'll have like a lavender tea or something like that. Um, I'll do either the THC or the Delta 8. Um, and low carbs, I just deal with it. Like I'll do a couple like hacks every now and then, like the cucumber with the cinnamon and stevia on it, or uh, the sugar-free Jello. But like that's every once in a while. But as you get into it, your body gets used to it, so then it's not really anything.
That's a good point. And Edward, you said you bought a pre-workout with DMHA, DMA, and GABA. Should you use it? I don't know. Should you? I mean, if your blood pressure is normal and you want a strong stimulant, I mean, I would definitely take like half a portion of whatever they say. Because a lot of these companies, they make it seem like they got the strongest It's not hard to make a strong stimulant. Stimulant doesn't take a lot of space in the scoop. So you can have a scoop of stimulants that have like 500 caffeine and whatever else in it, and it's just too much for most people. So I would start with maybe half a portion, see if you like that, and if you like it but you don't feel it strong enough, then go up a little higher. What is that a female asking me like the differences between Superdrol and Anadrol?
That's why I was.
Hey Adam, how are
Well,
you?
in my opinion, not for women.
Yeah, Superdrol and Anadrol. I mean, there's some applications for some people, some females in very, very low doses, but it's not something I personally would play with any clients because the risk to reward factor is just not there for me. And with women, if you virilize them and they have some negative side effects, I mean, those don't really go away again. So it's a little too risky. For your husband, okay, well, for your husband, I would say if his blood pressure is normal, and as long as he's keeping track of his blood pressure and his RBC, so Anadrol is used as an anemic drug for people who have low red blood cell counts. So if you use Anadrol, your red blood cell count will go up a little bit, which is okay at first, but you just want to make sure that you're not getting a hemo reading of like over 18. You don't, if you've got like a reading of 19, you have to go and donate blood because the thick blood can cause a real issue. And especially now with COVID and the clotting issues that are happening, you want to be very careful with how thick you make your blood. But if he's asking for results, well, Anadrol, if he wants to really blow up, but he's going to lose a lot of that size afterwards. And Superdrol, if he wants to gain a lot of muscle tissue, but doesn't want the same amount of bloat. But you have to keep in mind, both of them are very suppressive. So unless he's on hormone replacement already, it wouldn't be something I'd advise for somebody to take for 6 weeks and then stop completely. And I mean, stop that drug completely, but you'd want to be taking TRT because your levels will be shut down.
Keon wants to know, how do I gain muscle? Progressive overload.
Why don't you take, well, what I think the secret is, we come back as Keon's children in a few years, and then we have his genetics, and then we grow muscles just by looking at weights. I think that's the secret.
That's true. That's a good one, too.
Genetics play a big role, and Keon is one of the best examples because he first competed and totally naturally, and he was kicking ass because he has a small, compact frame, perfect muscle bellies. So when he decided to push things to the next level, he blew up and blew a lot of people's minds. So yeah, some people are built for it.
Goals.
And he trains hard. I won't lie. I watched some of his Instagram lives, and he's getting after it with the training. He's not no wussy training. He's doing barbell rows with 3 plates and stuff like that. So he puts the work in. What can you recommend for me to tear my pec in 13 seconds? Well, definitely do everything that Big J did and then challenge you for a boxing fight, or you challenged him, I guess. But I'm not surprised he got hurt. I actually said that he would get hurt within a minute. I said either a stroke or he tears a muscle. So I guess tearing the muscle was the way he went. Lots of steel reserve, yes. So alcohol dehydrates you. So it's really not great to drink alcohol and then go and lift heavy weights, let alone do a boxing match. And I actually watched the entire live video. I never saw him do any stretching or any kind of passive warm-up. He kind of just got in there. So it's not a huge surprise he tore his pec. But I will tell you one thing. That tear is a lot worse than he thinks it is. And he never went to get it checked out. So he's in for a nasty surprise when that muscle starts to move. When you tear a pec off the bone, it looks okay for a couple of months, and then it starts to shift down. Like my buddy Boston, he's torn it, and now when you contract his pec, it all contracts in a little ball at the bottom of his pec. So if you get injured, get it checked out. Let's see. What else? Who's got some questions for Bree? I'm just scrolling through the. Let's see here. What age do you think a male should start taking tests? I think you should get your hormones checked. A lot of young men have much lower testosterone levels than they should. And then if you do have low levels, you should go through a good clinic, such as Premier Health Solutions, Hormone Solutions. That's a company I'm involved with, and they will give you a suitable amount and monitor you. It's not like shady steroid dealing kind of place, but you can actually find a link for that hormone clinic on my main page. So, and if you're asking us what age should you take tests just for performance enhancing, honestly, I would wait until you are in your mid-20s. Most people don't do that, but you really would be better off doing that. And Bree, what kind of recovery routine do you use? Sarah asks. Laura asks, pardon me.
So I've been working on stretching after every training session. Occasionally I'll do ice baths for about 10 to 15 minutes. Just a lot of stretching. I do have a TENS unit and a massage gun, so occasionally I worked on those two. I'll get with Ryan Brown and do some body work with that, or I have somebody in town that will do deep tissue massages.
And why don't you answer this one? How many workouts and sets should you do per muscle group?
Well, it depends on what you're going for, I guess. I mean, if you want to, like, for instance, for example, me growing, I need to grow everything. So I've been hitting every muscle group twice a week to bring everything up.
But your strength has also been going up, right? That's
Right.
very important to note, because if you don't recover enough and your strength isn't going up, then you're training too frequently.
Right.
So that's important.
And I normally keep things right now between like five exercises per workout that I do. And set wise, like 5 to 4, 4 to 5. And reps have been staying, like my first couple sets I'll get like 12 to 15, and then I'll move closer to like 6 to 8 for the last 3 sets.
And are you taking these last 3 sets to the point where you can't get another rep? So like technical failure?
Yeah.
So what do you think about these people who leave reps in reserve?
I feel like you're not getting the most out of the exercise that you're doing.
I do agree. And Edward, question for both of you. What's the best way to lose fat? More cardio than weight training, or more weight lifting than cardio? Definitely weightlifting and diet. It's all about it really is about the diet. We all wish we could out-train a bad diet. You just can't do it.
So I do about 2 feeder sets, 3 working sets.
That sounds about right, yeah. And probably on your first exercise, you might do a couple more feeder sets.
Right.
That's the term. Warm-up sets, feeder sets, blood sets, whatever. Yeah, warm-up. I mean, as a 19-year-old, I'm interested in making my own supplement company. Do you think majoring in biochem is the best option? I honestly think majoring in business is probably the best option if you want to do a company like that, because you can always employ people to build your supplements. But if you can't run a business correctly, you're not going to go anywhere. Or marketing. You need getting good at marketing is important too. Would you say anything extra to that, Bree? I mean, as you're in the process of learning now.
Yeah, like going into business would be a better fit that way, because I mean, you want a company. You're not going to be in the lab creating the stuff, so but I mean, if you want to be in the lab part, then sure, yeah, I think that would be good. But you gotta pick which one.
I don't know what sports modeling is. What are you referring to? Izzy Styles 22. Sports modeling.
Is that like? Are you talking about like fitness modeling, kind of ish?
Fitness modeling, yeah. Are you talking about just for fans? That's a type of sports modeling, I suppose.
OnlyFans. You don't know how many times I've gotten people telling me to do.
You and me both, but and both of us, it's mainly guys.
Fitness modeling. I mean, in my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with it. As long, like in my opinion, as long as you don't do anything raunchy, so to say, then yeah, go for it. I mean, you're showing your physique that you work hard for, so I don't
So
see.
well, let me ask you this, Bree. Where do you draw the line between what is raunchy and what is not? Because you could say, looking at some of your pictures are a little more raunchy. Where do you draw the line?
That's a good question. I guess I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
It's a tough one. I think that's a tough question for people to know. Have watched The Pumping. That's why it's called The Pumping. No, do you mean Pumping Iron? I don't know a film called The Pumping. Let's see if I missed anything here. What kind of? Oh, so you can see the deformity of it. Yes, Adam. Yes, 100%. If he has torn it off the bone, the pec attaches in two places, right? So if you tear it off the bone, it deforms like crazy, and you're never going to have the same level of strength in it again. I had to have a surgery, and it was pretty. And that's a crappy surgery to have, but I had it because that was the only way my pec was going to still keep working correctly. And as far as watching Pumping Iron, yes, I'm sure Bree has also watched Pumping Iron, and she's probably watched Pumping Iron to the Women.
Yeah.
Both are great films.
Anything that's bodybuilding that's on Netflix has already been watched. Anything CrossFit related even has been watched on Netflix. So that's when I have to go to YouTube and find things.
But have you watched Blood and Guts by Dorian Yates?
No, I have not.
Well, that's the one you've got to watch.
Is it on Netflix? No.
No, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
That's the best training video ever, without a doubt. Dorian Yates. Racy and raunchy, very different. I honestly, I don't know the huge difference myself, but
I don't know the difference.
You can tell the difference with how some people take the pictures and what they're focusing on within the picture. That's for sure.
That's another thing, like finding the right photographer, because some of them are weirdos out there. So you got to kind of look and see like what kind of pictures they're taking, what's their style and everything like that. Everybody that I've worked with, like Dan Ray and Mitch Gilbert, both of them are like super professional, and they're not like trying to take crotch pictures of you. They're trying to keep it classy and appropriate for Instagram without being nude.
So when I was at the Wings of Strength show, all the photographers and video camera guys backstage, they're all holding the camera at crotch level. They're just filming around. I was like, this is like softcore porn back here. So it's funny how it varies. Chris, what is the most interesting book you guys read related to your career last year? What book would that be, Bree?
I don't know. I didn't read anything really besides the books that I was reading for school last year.
Yeah, well, you were very busy with that. To answer your question, Chris, I would say probably the most informative and best book is The Woman's Book by Lyle MacDonald. Because if you are a woman and you want to compete, you should have that book. If you're a coach that coaches women, you should have that book. Because the female body is not like a little male body, it's completely different. So a lot of coaches don't realize this, so they treat women like little men, and that's how you destroy a female body. Raunchy is sex suggestive, racy is just classy yet sexy, but it's still sex suggestive, is it not? Either way. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, I get what you're saying though. There's definitely you'll see some pictures and you'll be like, okay, that's pushing. Hey, that's a little too much maybe, but
Comparing what they call an insta thought to one of my pictures to my dad, and my dad was like, I was explaining what this other person was doing and why they were called what that was, and he's like, well, what's the difference between that and what you post? I'm like, okay, well, I'll show you the difference. Mine is like borderline on some of them. They're not all like that, but some of them, they're a little borderline. But like when you're completely butt naked,
and you're putting like a little emoji over certain parts of the body, yeah, that kind of thing. That's a little much. The leg spread is a bit too much. But what about when they crush the watermelons with the legs? You did that one, didn't you, Bree?
I attempted. I'm gonna attempt in a couple months too, just to see my strength go up, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's harder than it looks.
You tried it?
I'm not going to comment on that. I'll have to make a video.
Do that post leg day one day in a couple months.
Yeah, they'll probably cramp right up at that point. Let me see. Any other questions, guys? Neither of us. This is actually Bree's first live. I've done like literally like maybe 5 lives ever. I don't normally do them. I normally just do stories, but I thought I would mix it up a little bit. That's why we're doing this today. So if you guys have any questions, please fire them away. Is it possible to improve if limited to only 100% JMC Cabe 21? It's very possible to get a lot of really great results if you only train 3 days a week. So certain professionals like Dexter Jackson, for a large amount of his career, he only trained 3 days a week. So it's not so much how many days a week you train, but what you're doing in those days and how much effort you're putting in.
Do you think NPC/IFBB judges would judge bias towards known competitors over someone less known that looks better? I mean, for what I've seen, no.
Chris, I would say yes, there's certainly some
There's
subjectivity in there. Yes, I've seen it without a doubt firsthand with my own clients, and I've seen it where the people who make top 10 are all hanging around the judges the night before, and it's it's hard to argue it because, let's say, especially bikini, all the girls look great. You could make an argument for anybody winning. So I certainly think it plays in a little bit, but I wouldn't even blame the judges. I would blame the division and the fact that it's so subjective.
But like for figure, I mean, yeah, you have Cindy Gillen, and everybody knows her, but a lot of other figure competitors are well known too. But whoever brings up with the best package is the one that's out there. Because I mean, they had a lot of new people place top 5 at Olympia this year, so.
That's true. And thank you, GK. I will save it, and that is fantastic that you do that for me. He does my little YouTube videos, which I'm trying to work on now, seeing that I did a couple of podcasts, and I have another podcast tomorrow, and then I've got several lined up, so it's funny once it starts taking off. And favorite fitness podcast? You go first, Bree. What's your favorite?
Bodybuilding and Bullocks.
That is a great show.
Ooh.
I like that. I like actually Leo Longevity. I like his videos a lot. because there's good banter in there, and there's also a lot of good information. But I won't lie, I enjoy the Fouad videos too, even if Leo and Fouad don't get on the best. I like them both. What do you guys? And yes, I know Kevin DeHaven. Yeah, I know you, Paul. I've known you for ages. I think you've been on my Facebook list for years. You definitely should compete. 51 years old, you can compete in the over 50 division. You know, time is now, because I think the next division starts, maybe is it at 60 or maybe it's 55. I'm not sure, but now would be a good time for you to do a show. Yes. So, Bree, what is your least favorite fitness podcast?
I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts, really.
So
So
do you visually watch it when you're
yeah,
like, oh, okay, I never watch it. I always just have it playing in the background.
because like Fuad, they actually show stuff on the screen sometimes.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah, so I'll watch that like whenever I do. Rarely have cardio, or like I'm just walking on the treadmill getting stuff. So
That's a good point. Let me see what else. What other questions do you guys have? Instagram Live is kind of a weird thing. You're just kind of sitting there, and you know people are watching you, and you're like, oh, somebody asked something. Just making sure I don't miss anything here. But Edward, to go back to your point, I really would say go and get your hormone levels checked. And if you are low average, and the range is 300 to 1,000, and I think for optimal health, you should be around 675 to 700. So if you're low, I would get a proper prescription. And like I said, if you go through the clinic that I have on the front of my page on here, they will do they'll do a consult with you, and they'll tell you the truth. And Bree, do you still play soccer any?
I do not, unfortunately. The doctors told me I should stay away from contact sports just because it could be life-threatening if I get hit again. So
Was that because you kept running your head into brick walls?
no, no, because after my last concussion, I had to do speech therapy, cognitive therapy, occupational therapy. I had to relearn how to drive. So I'm not trying to. They said, next time if you get hit good enough, it could be you could die or you'd be a vegetable. So I prefer to stay alive. So
Good. That's a good idea. And Bree, what is your pre-contest method to reduce anxiety?
gotta hit that THC pin.
Laura, I'll tell you a little secret. So what I do with a lot of clients is I'll give them an anti-anxiety pill the night before their show. That way they can sleep a lot better, because I think the worst thing people do is stay awake all night before a show, worrying about carving up. The body needs to rest. The body looks best when it's fresh and woken up. So the more you can sleep, the better.
And down here in Columbia, Nutrition Warehouse has the Happy Face. Yeah, that
stuff, yeah.
that was great.
That's actually, it's a short-acting banazepam, but you can currently buy it legally down in Colombia. I mean, it won't be like that forever, because it has, what is the drug? It is etizolam, which is a short-acting benzo, but it's not addictive like a lot of the longer-acting ones are. So people who take the longer-acting benzos like clonazepam, if they take it frequently, they can run into withdrawal issues, which you kind of avoid with that. Who else came here from Leo's podcast? Probably only you, I would say. I don't know. Anyone else come here from Leo's podcast? I'm peeing all night. What's your tips for peeing all night on a contest prep diet?
On a contest prep, what kind of tips? I mean, you get up, you go to the bathroom, and then go back to bed.
Yeah. So I think before bed, you cut your water down a little bit for the last couple of hours, and then with your last meal, have some additional sodium, and the sodium will really help. It'll help it to a good degree.
My body's kind of gotten used to it now where if I do get up in the middle of the night, it'll be like one time. It used to be pretty bad where I'd be up like 2 or 3 times, but I guess my body's
That's not
gotten used to
bad. Yeah, that's not bad. So, Baby Bart, what did you think of Leo's podcast, seeing that you came from there?
it. The night before the show, pee all night. I don't I don't think I peed all night the night before the show.
Yeah, so I generally, how I do it with drying clients out, they're already dry at that stage the night before, so they're not going to be up all night. It's not like I'm telling them to pop a diuretic right before sleep, before the show. I think that's very unpredictable, and you just don't know what result you're going to get from that. So I pulled by that stage, by Friday night, they're already pretty dry. And then as long as they sleep well, once they wake up, they're good to go.
But I do recommend when having that tan on, be very careful. Like you gotta hover the entire time, or like use like a bathroom cup. That's another hack too.
That's actually an important one for females. A lot of first time competitors don't know that, so that's a very good. Why don't you describe that a little bit better so people understand what you're saying?
So when you have that tan, if you sit on the toilet, that toilet's gonna be orange when you get up, and you don't want to risk having a little random dribble anywhere because then it's gonna run down your tan and mess up your tan. And that's just more to fix later on. So you got to make sure you're hovering, aiming, and you use the cup. You put a little hole at the end of the cup, but like you know that helps you aim because females are different.
Yeah, that's right. And do you do any BFR training? Yes, in fact, I do a lot of BFR training, and I introduced Bree to it, and now she has her own cuffs, if I'm correct.
Yes, yes. I used them for legs last week, and then I used them for arms yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, and for some reason my legs don't feel it as much the day after, but my arms, they're like stupid sore.
Well, the thing about BFR training is you're not actually breaking down muscle tissue. That's why you can do it so frequently. I mean, the way you're doing it with the heavier weights, you are breaking some tissue down.
Yeah.
But just in general, the advantage is it's all metabolite buildup. That's how the muscle's growing from that. Hey, I love the chicken. Yeah, chicken shakes, man. I one time told some people that I blame chicken because I don't like to eat a whole lot of food, and it became like my tagline. I said some coaches have Pop-Tarts, some people have freaking kids cereal, and I have chicken shakes. I mean, sounds really enticing, doesn't it? It does work a lot better than a protein shake. It really does.
It tastes better to me, honestly.
Because you know what you're drinking is it's purely for your goals. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I make my chicken shakes taste really good.
Yeah,
It's
you put effort
a
in.
lot better than, the aftertaste of a scoop of protein.
That's true. That artificial taste, yeah, it's not the best. And Baby Bart, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the episode. Very insightful. I appreciate that, man. So let's do like 3 more questions if anybody has any. Oh, just started taking potassium for better electrolyte balance and glycogen loading. Do you do this with your coconut water, and would that apply pre-contest? So with potassium, you have to be careful. So if you're on, let's say, an ACE inhibitor, you don't want to take extra potassium because potassium basically builds up with those medications. So make sure you're not taking any medications that can interfere with that. And honestly, before a show, I don't like to mess with potassium levels too much because that's a good way to get yourself into trouble, especially when somebody uses a potassium sparing diuretic like a diazide, which gets rid of the sodium but keeps the potassium. And then they're adding in extra potassium. You can get into a position where your potassium levels are too high. And if you take that to the extreme, your heart actually can stop. So it's not something worth playing with, in my opinion.
Do the chicken shakes make the blender bottle smell like protein powder does? No. No, it doesn't actually. Now, I would recommend cleaning that thing out as soon as you're done, but it's not going to leave a stink behind.
It doesn't. Yeah, you just rinse it out and it's good to go. But you do want to make sure you have a very good blender, because I have all these people sending me messages about how they have chunks in their chicken shake, and that's disgusting. That's why I pressure cooker my chicken. That makes it a lot softer. You could bake it and do it that way, but I find pressure cooker works really well for that.
I do not take any CBD. I just don't like it's not like I tried it, but it doesn't work.
As far as, I don't really take CBD, but I'll take things like this. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's basically microdosed magic mushrooms. You take a very small amount of it in the morning, and it kind of helps with energy and motivation levels. Not enough that you hallucinate or anything like that. And you can't do it on a daily basis. You can do it for a couple of days and then take a few days off. As far as reishi and the cordyceps, yeah, I actually include them in my intra shake, believe it or not. I like to put mushroom powder into my shakes. It makes your fart smell like 2-year-old. I don't know, Universal Islander, now that you're not soldier anymore, making stuff sound worse and worse. I honestly say, generally, if you're having like a lot of farts, it means you're not digesting your protein correctly. So maybe look at getting a good digestive enzyme, even some pepsin, which helps break down protein. And yeah, occasionally, okay, some people have issues, but that shouldn't be an everyday thing.
Well, I know that guy. He should incorporate a little bit more vegetables in his diet as well.
I've seen, yeah, I've seen a lot of his, I've seen a lot of the meals, obviously, as I do his coaching, but he's doing great, and he has some of the best genetic potential of pretty much any young guy I know at the moment.
I was
So,
about the coaching part. I was talking about the in person of what I've seen. There's been
oh,
no at all.
oh, well, when I read his diet and it says 8 ounces chicken shake, I assume he's talking about just chicken. So
See, in my chicken shakes, I add in spinach.
that's good. Yeah, and you can add a lot of stuff in. The trick is you just don't want it to get too thick.
Yeah.
Whoa, call me out on my veggies. Well, young man, you should be eating your veggies. That's why.
I'll call it anybody.
Yeah, I'm just trying to hit the daily requirement amount, food and intake. I mean, calculate, as long as you're eating some, you're getting your vegetables in and that. I really don't think potassium needs to be super monitored for most people unless you're taking certain medications. But I mean, if you feel a difference in a positive way by adding a little extra in, by all means, do it. How much water are you drinking at the moment, Bree? Just so people have an idea of what it takes.
I've at least been getting a gallon, so I aim for a gallon and a half. Sometimes it doesn't get to a gallon and a half, but I know it's more than a gallon every day.
That's the key. As long as it's over a gallon, you're doing good. All right, guys, let's do one more question, and then I've got to get off of here, as does Bree. So
It's almost bedtime.
yes, indeed. We'll give it 10 seconds. Oh, not trying to go nuts and stop my heart. No, that's not going to be it. That's not going to be an issue, man, unless you're really taking enormous amounts of it. I would not worry about that at all.
Oh, so what are you wanting to train next week?
We can train anything, whatever you want to train. As long as it's not chest, shoulder, and arms.
That's fine.
So either back or legs.
All right, let's do back because I've done legs every time I've come up there.
Yeah, we did. I think we did like a whole body one time, but that's about it. Yeah.
We did a whole upper body, and it was
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it was right before Was it like a couple weeks out from Junior USA's?
Yeah, it was close to the show. That's why we did that. But yeah, we'll do a back workout. And we'll see if the Universal Islander. Now all I can think about is like those guys in Hawaii with like the grass skirts dancing around. I used to think of him like Universal Soldier, like out of film, but not anymore.
I think of the Hawaiians on Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking too now. Anyone else have one more question? Taco Queen Turd Cutter, what's up? Some of the troll names are hilarious. They always make me laugh.
Where do you see that?
Right at the bottom.
I tell you what, that page always stays on my question stories. Very.
I'll bring my. Now you have to do it. You said you're bringing a grass skirt up there to deadlift in, so now you have to do it. The potassium seems to be helping a lower. Yeah, well, that if it's helping lower blood pressure, dude, that's only a good thing. So keep it up. All right, guys. I think that's about it for today. Thanks very much for joining in. Me and Bree appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll do another one soon. See you later, guys. Bye.